The South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee, SASCOC, unveiled a team of 15 athletes who will represent Team South Africa at the upcoming Para-Athletics World Champs in Japan. They start on the 17th to the 25th of this month. Most of those athletes likely also to represent South Africa at the Paralympic Games in Paris, France later this year. And to tell us more about the World Champs and the Paralympics, we have the South African Sports Association for the Physically Disabled President, Moekie, Grobelaar, who's joining us online here, and a former para-athlete herself. Good evening, President. Thank you for joining us on SABC Sports Live tonight.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. We are going to Japan. What is the makeup of the team and what are your expectations?
Okay, first of all, we must understand that currently, as we stand, South Africa is still trying to generate slots for the Paralympics. So some of these athletes that is going has already generated slots. And what people don't understand is when you send the same athlete and the athlete is actually coming first or second, the slot has already been generated. They won't be able to generate another slot. They will go to try and obviously better their times or their performance or something like that. So there is a couple of our athletes that is in the squad that is going, that is already generated slot for South Africa. But there is also a couple of athletes that is going that has not generated slots. So we are truly hoping that when the team comes back, that there is more slots for South Africa. So when the Paralympics, which is this year, obviously in August, from the 28th, that we will be able to send quite a strong team to the Paralympics.
Yes, and when you look at the national champs that were held this year, where would you say we are ahead of these Paralympics?
Look, talent is talent, and you always have your top athletes that is coming and going, and then when they move out, you look at your youth, you look at your youngsters that is coming through the ranks. So we are very, very blessed that we've got a couple of youngsters that is coming through. And those youngsters is really going to perform for us now in 2024. But as it is, you always look at the long term. Yeah. So there's probably some of these athletes that's going to do much better in 2028, you know. So those are the type of things that you look at. You look at your feed through what is coming, what do you have at the moment, and what is the lineup for you know, to achieve and to actually do better going forward.
And we've got the likes of Ndando Mahlangu, who was telling us that is now based in the UK. How good do you think that is for his development, especially also in a Paralympic year?
Well, I think it is very good for him because, you know, he is now with the best, number one. He's got a very good coach. And Ntando had to focus or to shift his focus to jumping because unfortunately his events where he's actually also holding the world record is not one of the events that's going to be taken part in the Paralympics. So then you have to, as an athlete, you need to then have a serious mind shift and see where best you can then focus on. So he is focusing at the moment on jumping. So that is what we're hoping, that he's going to get a slot there. And then obviously being part of the team that's going. But like I said, at the moment, we're still waiting to generate as many slots as possible. Because when an athlete is doing very well and generate slots for the country, it does not always necessarily be that is the athlete's name that is being allocated to that slot. So that is, you see, I always say to people, they need to understand why the Paralympic team is so much smaller than the Olympic team always. It's because the criteria to qualify is really, really very difficult to be able to get into the Paralympics.
Yeah. And what about support, President? Are you getting support? Are you getting financial support, which is very important also to try and motivate and make sure that these athletes are prepared for these big events?
Yeah, look, our national championships, our main sponsor is Toyota, South Africa. So, and that is the main platform that we are giving as SASCC for our athletes in South Africa to come and showcase their talent. And then most of these athletes, actually, the majority of them that is now going into the team, Team South Africa, is obviously on the COPEC, CAPEX, sorry.
OPEX, yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, OPEX budget. So yeah, they obviously, that is SASCOC. You know, SASCOC is coming to the party to also look after these athletes and also give them the opportunity and the chance of a lifetime to be able to excel and to fulfill their dreams.
Yeah, and does OPEX apply to the World Champs? Because we've heard some athletes are saying they are finding their way to these World Champs in Tokyo. Is that correct?
No, most of these athletes that is going in this team is on the OPEX, and OPEX is actually covering. And remember, this team is not SASCC that's sending this team.
Yeah.
It's SASCOC that's sending the team. That's why they're going as Team South Africa. And if you look at it, because World Championships like this one is one of the criterias that SASCOC is funding.
Yeah. And as we wrap up now, many might not be aware that you are also an athlete yourself there. Just remind us which event you were taking part in and how do you look back at your career?
Yeah, I used to be a powerlifter. Actually, I started off as a track and field athlete as well. And then I changed, now became a powerlifter. So in 2000, many years ago, I went for the first time to Sydney.
Yeah.
And I got the bronze medal at the Paralympics. And then after that, I did 2004 and 2008 as a powerlifter. But then I stopped competing and obviously focused more on the administration side of you know, the federation and so on.
Yeah, and you're doing some fantastic work, and we hope that you get more support for this team and just for the organization also. But thank you for speaking to us and giving us clarity also on how the slots work ahead of a big year, which is Paralympics.
Thank you so much, and thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Thank you, President Moekie Grobelaar there, speaking to us about the World Champs that are happening in Japan later this month, as well as the Paralympics. And we wish our team and our athletes all the best there.